Hello YouTube, welcome to this slightly late edition of the Instant Analysis series where we're going to be going over the new November item exchange event, Kanata's Treats and Autumn. We're going over the cards there. We're going to start off with the SRs first for the free versions. Toy Doll Mia, Natural Attribute SP type. Stats are meh, it's very meh. It's an SP type gauge gainer, which not something you're really looking for. Has a technique type passive, which is very interesting, but not going to be very useful. And a SP gauge bomb LSA, which is basically going to add voltage to your next SP gauge by a percentage of this card's technique on your next SP burst, which gauge bombs, you rarely ever have to use them unless you're in a situation where there is a very high SP gauge expectation, and even then you wouldn't be using a card like this. So luckily it's just a free card. It's costume filler. It is the toy doll costume, which a lot of people have been waiting for, so thankfully we get it for free. The second free card is going to be Mirai Harmony Shizuku of the SRs. Active attribute voltage type. Stats in the active attribute, even for SRs, this is like very low, I would say. Topping out at 68.98 is just doesn't feel good. Voltage gain tap active, same attribute passive, and a guaranteed 77% of her appeal as voltage when the the first appeal chance starts. Not the song, first appeal chance. Yeah, it just, again, costume filler. So for those of you that have been really wanting your full Mirai Harmony costume set, here you go. Finally, the UR for the event. Shrine Maiden of the Fall Foliage Kanata, a pure attribute SP type. Stats are okay for an event card. 10,465, 6103, and 12,498. The biggest thing about this card is that it's a pure attribute SP type shielder. Even though it does give a lower percentage at max limit break, 29% only, it is based off of her technique, so it does make the card a little bit more tolerable because it is following her biggest stat, and because her biggest stat is technique, she does have a crit profile, which is basically a 50 to 53% crit rate. Her passive is also pretty good, a maximum 5.2% appeal boost for other pure attribute cards. This is one of the very few free event URs where they have the same attribute appeal buffing passive, but they didn't nerf the percentages. Normally with free event cards, whether it be IDEX or whether it be marathon events, when we get this passive, it's normally a maximum of 4.2% for same attribute cards. This one is 5.2%. So it does make it really nice if you have a song where you need a secondary shielder and you're running basically fully same attribute cards. Like, let's say you're not saying that you would use this card in it, but let's say you're playing Jingle Bell Got Tomatonai Plus, or not Plus Challenge. If you had this card as your like second strat shielder, then this would allow you to do, would allow you to tap more on your main front line, simply because you're getting that extra, and it's only 1%, so it's not a ton, but it is still a better passive than normally you would get with free event URs. And then finally, her LSA, a 30% chance when appeal chance starts to restore 20% of this card's technique as stamina, which is nice. However, when you realize that 20% of this card's stamina is only 2,600. Well, actually less than 2,600. It's not a significant heal, like, especially when you're getting to a lot of the more difficult songs that you maybe would consider using this card on. It's basically enough of a stamina heal for like maybe 4 taps, 5 taps at most. So I wouldn't worry too much about the LSA. The main parts about the card are a good technique value, a good not great tap active, and a decent passive. Then when we get to the gacha side of things, we finally round out Mermaid Festa Volume 1 with Mermaid Festa Ellie, pure attribute voltage type. Stats are pretty good. 8908 base appeal for an SR is always very good. Our primary skill, her tap active, Das Vidania, increase appeal by 7%, and it's a strategy based tap active, as is the appeal plus for just herself, max 7%. And the live show active is a 30% chance after you pass an appeal chance at 30% of this card's appeal is voltage, which is kind of negligible. But I will say this card, this Mermaid Festa Volume 1 Ellie, has the hallmarks of your Snow Halation Ellie, right? Not Snow Halation Koto. A very, very high appeal value for an SR, a self-buffing passive that is much, much higher than any other SR can provide, and slightly better than Snow Halation Kotori. She gives you an appeal buff for, now it's only 5 nodes, but when comparing it to Snow Halation Kotori has a voltage boost tap active, right? So you get extra score that way. Whereas this Ellie will exponentially grow her score as, this tap active goes off more and more and more. She gets higher appeal means higher tap values. So it is a very, very solid card for an SR, but not something you're going to write home about. The URs though, the gacha URs are a little different. First one is going to be Maiden of the Fall Foliage Nico, Smile attribute guard type, 10,906 base appeal, 15,129 base stamina, 9148 base tech. So no crit rate there, but a very, very high stam value for a guard type card, which means that this falls into the category of hyper healer, right? Cards that if they get 1 tap active off, your stamina heal is going to be massive. And as always, right, primary skill, max 32% stamina heal of this card's stamina. 32% of 15,000 is a lot. I don't need to explain that to you, but she also gets added by her passive, which is an appeal buff of a max of 2.6% and a stamina increase of 5.2% for other Smile cards. Now, is the passive good? No. But it is better than just a straight stamina buff for other Smile attribute cards, right? We would definitely take, this with a little bit of an appeal up and a little bit of a stam up versus just the stam up. Finally, her LSA, another 30% chance after passing AC, restore 30% of this card's stamina. So a stamina heal of 30%, which, if you're looking at this, 30% of 15,000 is a decent amount, but it's not, it's basically you're getting an extra tap active heal, right? So you have to think of it that way. And when we look at Smile attribute guard type cards, as you can see, I have everything sorted. Smile attribute guard type, this Nico is actually the highest base appeal Smile attribute guard type card that we currently have in the game. Now, is it the best Smile attribute healer? No. I mean, we have Third Fest Ayumu sitting right here with her massive 16,000 base stamina. But, you know, there is, you know, an argument to be made that this particular, you know, if you want to call her Kitsune Miko, Kitsune Nico or whatever, because she has the fox ears, this is basically a budget version of Third Fest Ayumu. She can do similar things to Ayumu, just not as good. So when we go back here and we look at the purely stamina healers in the Smile attribute guard type, this is by far the second best card, and it's not even close, right? It's Ayumu, then it's Nico, then it's the recent Western Arts Daya, and that's kind of how the hierarchy kind of is for Smile attribute guard types. Most of the times, would you love to try and use a second Festio over it? Of course, but if you don't have second Festio, and let's say you don't have second Fest Ayumu, this Nico is perfectly fine for any, you know, high level, you know, advanced plus or challenge difficulty Smile attribute songs that you're trying to do. And then lastly, the second gacha UR is Tri-Maiden Rico, an active attribute skill type, 13,872 base appeal, stam is negligible, tech 14,218, so she does have a crit profile and a 57.7% crit rate. Tap active is okay. Increased voltage gain for crit notes by 11 to 15% for the next 5 notes for this card's strategy. Then we have a stamina, appeal buffing, same strategy passive, max 7%. Then a guaranteed every appeal chance you increase your crit percentage by 5%. As someone pointed out in the stream that we did when these cards were announced, this particular Rico, even though it is like a quote-unquote regular permanent gacha UR, this Rico can do really well on something like Niji Ito Passions. If you're playing Niji Ito Passions Advanced Plus, this particular card can be really good, because again, Niji Ito Passions is non-skill types lose 50% of their base appeal. So this card being a skill type with a very high tech, you know, tech number, very high appeal, and ways to buff how hard your crits are in addition to a crit rate increase during appeal chances, it makes this Rico very desirable for people who, and there is one of them in our Discord who has a very good active attribute and basically plays Koi Aqua Challenge and Niji Ito Passions Plus kind of non-stop, just to kind of see how much better they can get their RNG for the song. And this Rico would do amazing things. I don't know personally, I haven't had it, you know, I don't have great active attribute cards on my main account, but if you were to compare everything in the UR slot active attribute wise, there's 58 cards, and if we scroll all the way down, Rico has the 12th highest base appeal, actually tied for 11th with Lanzu. So that just goes to show how strong, just kind of on its own with the stats, the cards are. But if you put this card in the right situations, it can be amazing. Now, for those of you just saying, Shaz, just get to the point, you know, are these cards scoutable? Yeah, the cards are scoutable. But I will say this. We just came off a 3rd anniversary. There were a lot of gems spent by everyone. Would I prioritize either of these two cards over Third Fest Maru? No, I wouldn't. But if you're a Nico Oshi and you need to have this card, if you want to pull for this card, go for it. This Nico can actually help you a heck of a lot. Now, it doesn't help that Nico also has her first fest card, which is another smile attribute guard type card. And Rico, while she does have a good active attribute card, it's an SP filler, so it's kind of comparing apples and oranges. But the Rico card, again, is really, really good in certain circumstances. And with the way the game is leaning towards like having cards be specialized for like very, very specific songs, you know, this is one that I would kind of keep my eye out on. But yeah, that'll be it for us for this instant analysis. Come and join us on Twitch, twitch.tv/IonTheShaz, and I'll see you all later. Take it easy, everyone. Bye.